In this project, what you're going to do is create a sphere, a three-dimensional sphere, using black and white. It's just a basic project to learn how to mix colors together. To begin the project, you're going to need this safety compass, a ruler, these three brushes, let me see, some water, a pencil to begin. What I'm going to do now is create a circle. And it's going to be a sphere. It's going to be a three-dimensional sphere. You pick out the size you want. You put your finger in the middle and put your pencil on one of these openings and just trace it around. Try not to get so big it goes off the paper, but I'm going to take this and go around and keep your finger on the center. And then I've got the sphere right there in the center. By the way, this paper size is 5 by 9. And this is just a practice thing. What I'd like to do is I'm going to have the background tipped a little bit. You could have like it's a bouncing ball and have the ball up here or the sphere up here and the shadow down here. I'm going to make it tipped. I'm going to put the line behind it like this, and then where the shadow would be, if the light's coming from this direction, the shadow would be down here. You can see I've got the shadow kind of coming like this, and it's kind of elliptical, oval. So then my light's going to be coming from here. So it's going to go like a 1 white down to a 10 black. Next, what you're going to do is take a piece of plastic or a dish, and you're going to put your paint in it. Acrylic paint dries rather quickly. So have some water with you to keep it a little bit moist, and you're going to use white and black. Please be very, very careful about the paint, that you don't squirt so much on there and then it dries and that you waste paint. Try to squirt out as much as you need. And I'm going to squirt out probably the size of a peanut or a little bit bigger. And so there's my black. Here's the white. What I'm going to do is squeeze out just enough, probably just a little bit more than I have of the black. But again, probably come back and get extra paint instead of squeezing out so much that you waste it. And then I've got my white here, and I'm going to mix it right on the tray. The brushes that you're going to use are acrylic brushes. I'm going to tell you time and time again, make sure you wash these out really, really good at the end of class. And what's going to happen is if you leave the paint in it, it'll dry. And these are expensive brushes, and you don't want to leave them dirty. Put a little bit of shampoo, soap in them, run water underneath them, and clean them off. And you're going to find bins where I want you to wash the paint off first, because if the paint goes down the sink, it starts to clog it up. So try to get as much paint out of the brush that you can before washing it in the sink. Then I'm going to take a little bit of white, put it over here, and I'm going to mix it with the black, and I'm going to create a gray background. As in any picture, generally speaking, what you do is you start with the background or the sky, and then you work to the midground and foreground last. And because acrylic paints are opaque, it's going to be nice to be able to put these down. What you're trying to do is get a nice smooth finish. So what I'm going to do is start putting this down like this. Little strokes. I call it feathering, where you take little strokes and go like this, and it kind of blends it all together nicely. And you can see how that works. And if you need to, take a little bit of water, put it in there, and that makes your paint go just a little farther. Now, the more water you add, the more transparent your paint becomes. So be careful not to add too much water, but keep mixing your paint and keep working with it. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill this in so you can see what's going on here. Now I've got the background done. And one thing I forgot to tell you is that when you mix your black and your white, add your black very slowly to your white. It probably takes 1/3 or 1/4 of the amount of black to get an even gray that it takes of the white. So if you start with your black and put down a lot, and then you add white, you had to add probably 3 times the amount to get this nice gray. And as you noticed, as I was working on it, I was doing small strokes, pulling toward myself and pulling sideways to feather and to make this gray nice and even. Now I'm going to work on the midground, which is the space underneath this sphere. And I'm going to make this a light gray. So I'm going to put down white with just a little bit of black in it and fill this area in down underneath here. So you'll see that. Next, I'm going to do the shadow here, and this is going to be on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being white, 10 being black. Probably make it an 8 or a 9. It's going to be pretty dark. So I'm going to darken that up. Now around the edge of the shadow, what happens is this really sharp line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of gray next to it so it doesn't look so sharp. It looks like it's a little out of focus. I'm going to use a smaller brush for that. This one was an 8 and this one is a 4. So I'm going to use this one. Now you can see that the edge is not quite as sharp as it used to be. It still needs just a little bit more in this area here to get rid of that white edge. There we go. Now, here comes the hardest part. What's going to happen is you're going to go from a black and fade to almost a white, or even put a white highlight on there. I'm going to go back to the bigger brush. I'm going to wash this one out in the water so it doesn't dry. And I'm going to start with black here and keep adding just a little bit of gray or white to it to make it get lighter and lighter and lighter as it comes up. So to start with that, you just put a little bit of black down along this edge, and then you're going to have to add white to it and feather it and feather it and feather it. You know, just work it. You get that nice edge in there. Then let's add another layer of black on top. And I'm just going to work my way across now. So here's the finished sphere. On the back side, what I did is I came and mixed some more gray up to try to match this, filled in some of these white spots here and back here. But you can see that it goes from very dark to a highlight right here. And as you do this project, it'll help you figure out how to start mixing colors together. And as you see, I still, by putting just a little bit of paint on, I still have way too much. So start out with very little paint and get more as you need it. Please remember to clean these brushes out really good. I'm going to take this with soap and water and clean this out very good, and then bring it to me and I'll check it.